Kyle. When we were talking in Grace Kids this season about parables, we were talking about how people were always asking Jesus, what is the kingdom of God like? What type of story did Jesus use when he would tell the people what the kingdom of God was like?
He told them a parable.
What is a parable?
A story that Jesus told the people in a way they could understand.
Oh, so he was just trying to use real life experiences to help them understand better?
Mm-hmm.
So, Libby, Micah, I remember teaching you girls the parable of the prodigal son, and in that parable, the son decided that he wanted to leave his father and go into the world and taste all the things that the world had for him, but he found out that it's not such a great place after all. Do you remember what happened when he wanted to return home?
His father forgave him.
His father forgave him. So in that story, the father was supposed to represent whom? Do you know?
God.
It was God. So, what else did you learn about God in that story?
That if you leave God and you want to come back, that He'll have open arms and He'll let you back. He won't say no, just yes.
Hey, Bree.
That is.
I remember talking with you one night and with the other kids about the parable of the vineyard owner. And in that parable, the vineyard owner had some grapes that needed harvested, so he hired some people early in the morning and he promised them a certain sum of money if they would work hard all day. So they got right to work and they were working hard, but he saw that the grapes were not going to be all picked by the end of the day, so he hired some other people to come and help about halfway through the day. At the end of the day, though, when it came time to give them their paychecks, he gave the people who had come earliest the amount of money that he had promised, and he also gave the ones who had come later that same amount of money. The people who had worked all day long had been upset about this, but he said to them, hey, if I choose to give these other people what I wish, that's up to me. What do you think that tells us about how God thinks about the gift of grace that he gives us?
Well, it really doesn't. He's trying to say that it really doesn't matter when you start believing, it's that you do. And grace is really a gift because he doesn't have to let you into heaven. He doesn't have to give you grace. He just wants to. And I think that that he gives the same amount of money to all the other people, the same amount of grace to all the other people because they deserve it, even though that they don't know everything about Jesus. They just know a little bit. And that's fine. That's the only thing you need to do is believe.
Oh, that's
Haley and Araya, I remember the evening when we talked about what heaven would be like. And we all agreed it was going to be a wonderful place. And every one of you decided that you would like to live there one day. Then we started talking about the parable of the wedding feast, where a man had rented a banquet hall and had prepared this wonderful feast and had invited many guests. But when it came time for the feast to begin, the guests said, sorry, can't come after all, we're way too busy. And the man said, well, go out into the streets then and invite anybody you see, the blind and the lame and the crippled and the poor, and let's fill this banquet hall and make sure that we have as many people here as we can. Ray, what do you think Jesus was trying to teach us when he was saying that he wanted the banquet hall to be filled?
He said that people that didn't believe Jesus he wanted even people that didn't believe Jesus to come over and pray with God and come to our church and believe in him.
Haley, you want to add a little bit to that?
I think that Jesus Jesus wanted the hard-hearted people to come and join him, but those people refused. And it was a party in heaven, really cool party. And they didn't want to come because they didn't agree with God. Well, the humble people, the really nice, believing God, people that will accept any invitation they can have, especially Jesus, came anyway and accepted that invitation because they really wanted that.
Okay. So what do you think would happen if people didn't hear the invitation? Do you think there would be people out there who would have gone to the banquet if they had been asked?
If there wasn't an invitation, then they wouldn't have came.
They wouldn't have come. So what do you think that teaches us about whether enough people will be invited to live in heaven? What should we do?
We should pray about it, read the Bible, ask friends and family if they believe in God, pray with people, take people to church, that would be even better. And maybe get them to accept Jesus in their heart if they're ready.
Mackenzie?
Yes.
I remember the evening when I was with you at Grace Kidz, and we were talking about the parable of the unmerciful servant. And Jesus told a story about how a master called his servant to him and said, "You owe me so much money. I need you to pay me right now." And the servant said, "I'm sorry, but I cannot pay. Please forgive my debt." And the master took pity on him, and he did forgive the debt. But then that same servant went out and found another servant who owed him just a little bit of money. And he asked that servant to pay him right now. But the second servant said, "I cannot pay you. Please forgive my debt." And the first servant said, "I will not forgive you. I'm going to put you in jail." When Jesus told that story, do you think he was trying to get us to think about forgiveness?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So tell me, who was the first to forgive?
Jesus.
Jesus. So does that mean that we have sinned against Jesus?
Yes.
We have, but Jesus forgave us. So how about when other people sin against us? What does Jesus expect of us then?
Kindness.
Kindness? And how about forgiveness? What does he expect us to do with that word?
Like to forgive other people.
How many times? Just once?
A lot.
A lot? Like as many times as we can?
Yeah.
And then some more? Noah, I remember talking with you and the kids one night about the parable of the sower. And it talked about a man spreading seed on 4 types of soil. There was the hard path and the rocky soil and the soil that grew thistles and the good fertile soil. What do you think what was Jesus trying to tell us when he talked about that soil?
Well, some people have hard hearts and some people have good hearts.
Good hearts that do what?
Grow more and more in love with Jesus.
Oh, how about you? What sort of heart would you say you have?
A good heart.
A good heart that does what?
Grow and grow more
More.
in love with Jesus.
Perfect. Great job.